The NBA All-Star Game is a brand that desperately needs to be fixed. Hey everybody, welcome to Brand Out, a podcast all about branding. My name is Tony Nash, aka the Brand Father, and I'm the host of this podcast along with my team of creative branding experts here at AZEE Branding Solutions. Our mission is to help you grow your brand from A to Z. On today's episode, we're going to just do a segment that we like to call Fix That Brand, and we're going to have the guys in the office who all have an opinion on this brand of the NBA All-Star Game being an absolute debacle, if we got the ear of Adam Silver or if we were in charge, how we would fix that brand. So Casey, we got our director of marketing here, Casey Lambert. He's got some ideas on this. Casey's not a huge NBA fan, right?
No, not at all.
Not a huge NBA fan, but he likes sports. He likes the sports.
Mm-hmm.
So Casey, how would you fix the NBA All-Star Game?
Oh, this is a great one. So I admittedly not a huge NBA fan, right? I watched in like 2004 when the Pistons were great. I've done some work for the Detroit Pistons as well as some work for the Denver Nuggets. So I'm familiar with it at least, but I really didn't start to get into basketball much until I started working here with you guys. Obviously the Nash family is a basketball family.
Indeed.
Dan's a big basketball guy. Beth even played basketball. Chris and Nick downstairs played basketball.
We've seen you play. It's not your sport.
Yeah, no, it's embarrassing. But I've watched over the past decade as ratings and excitement have continued to fall for the NBA. It really kind of started with the superstar era, with the taking my talents to South Beach, the disloyalty of players to teams in cities, in fan bases. And it all kind of culminated in the All-Star Game that we saw this year, or really lack of star game, or whatever you want to call it. You're right, man. It was a freaking debacle.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, I'm watching these other sports just knock it out of the park with their all-star weekends or weeks, or, you know, outside of regular season competition things. So we have to sit here and we have to go, what can the NBA do to fix the All-Star Game, right? It's got problems from a media perspective, from an optics perspective, from a player perspective, from a marketability perspective. It is just an absolute disaster. So here's my thing. But come closer. Adam Silver, NBA executive brass, owners and players, you are failing your fan base. Here's how you get them back, right? We're watching the highest rated NHL All-Star festivities in history. I'm talking a single game out of their Four Nations Cup started with 4.5 million viewers and ended with 5.5 million viewers. So it escalated and went up. And here's the reason. The players played with passion. The players played with pride. And they did that because they did it for their country. So here's what you do, NBA. You take USA versus the world, and that's your format. Now,
How many All-Stars?
How many All-Stars?
How many from the world? How many from Team USA?
Field the regular team, right? 15.
12?
12, 15,
12.
whatever it is in the NBA.
It's 12.
So the reason it works so well in the NHL is because the NHL is an internationally diverse sport, right? Canada has something, I think, like 58% or 60% of all international or all players in the NHL. The US is right around like 35 to 40. And then Finland and Sweden represent 9 and 7% respectively. So it truly is an international sport. That's why it works that way.
Yeah.
Now the NBA is primarily American players.
So like 80% American?
80, I think 80 or 83, like right in that realm. So you obviously can't have like an international tournament out of the Olympics.
I would say in the top 10 players in the NBA, probably 6 or 7 of them are international players.
Exactly. And that's why it would work. So you have this USA pride. And we've talked before in podcasts about USA basketball, right? During the Olympics, the Dream Team in 92, it has marketability just from that alone. Now you put them up against the international team, which is, obviously Europe, Australia, South America, a much bigger ge- geographical demographic. But the biggest thing here is you create that Rocky IV effect, right? You create that us against them,
Us against
the
the world.
U.S. against the
You
world.
think it would start out in a fight like the USA versus Canada? They had 3 fights in 9 seconds.
It won't start out like that.
They don't let
But
them fight in
if
basketball.
it did, the ratings would go through the roof.
Yeah.
So that's really.
So do they take a week and a half like hockey? Do they do one game?
Oh no,
in Canada, one game, or what? Just do this all one night?
No, and again, that's one of the reasons why the NHL is genius here, right? They figured out how they could take this All-Star weekend and not only make it just like about the All-Star game or the All-Star festivities, but also give a majority of their players a really long break in the middle of the season while still having a product to market out there.
Yeah.
So I don't think you can do that in the NBA. You definitely can't do that in the MLB. The NFL Pro Bowl, don't even get me started about that one. But in order to get back the fans and make them actually care about that, outside of having your players actually care about their fans, would be to make it something that the fans can be passionate about. And I think for that, it's national pride.
Okay. Interesting take. I like it. I'm not going to weigh in and give my opinion on anyone's until I hear all 3 of your opinions, and then I'm going to give mine. I've been an NBA fan my whole life. Well, since I was probably 10 years old.
Big basketball guy.
So I have some thoughts and ideas, but I don't hate it. So thanks for sharing that with us. Adam Silver at NBA. If you're watching, here's some ideas for you.
Yeah, just do something. Just do anything, Adam Silver,
Yeah.
or step down.
Yeah. Okay, so let's bring the producer of this bed. Let's bring on Dan Dameron. I think let's get you mic'd up here. Dan, in a quick fashion, how would you fix the NBA All-Star Game?
So when I think back to the All-Star games that I grew up watching, was there still fun? Was there still a little bit of lackadaisical playing? Yes, but was it still competitive?
Yeah.
Yes. And I know at that time the incentive was whoever won the East or the West would get home court advantage in the finals, which was something that was
a big deal.
That was a big deal. In recent years, it's like we just keep reinventing the wheel. It's like, oh, team LeBron versus team Steph. And it's just like, it's just boring. And there is no more East or West. Like, what I would love to see is for it to just go back to the East and West All-Stars. And this is going to be, what I'm about to say is going to be a little off the wall.
All right.
But if you want to see a competitive game of basketball, I think that whichever side wins, whether it be East or West, automatically gets one win in the NBA Finals.
The team, so if it's a West team,
Yep.
they get one win, so they start
Yep.
1-0.
Yep. If it's
wow.
if it
That's crazy, Dan.
it is crazy, but like, wouldn't that actually
That would make it more
Wouldn't
competitive.
it produce
So
them?
you're saying the issue with the brand,
Yes.
the All-Star, is the lack of competitiveness.
Yeah.
So you're saying to fix it, we got to amp up the competitiveness.
There's no stake
and
in
that
the,
would do it.
There's no stake in the game
stakes.
for these guys, right? That's why LeBron right before the game can go, you know what? Is it worth me risking my? And honestly, and I know LeBron got a lot of hate for it, but I'm like, All-Star Weekend is worth absolutely nothing right now. So if you're a contender and you're actually wanting to make a run of something in the postseason, like, to me, it has to be attached to the postseason. So what better way than going, you win this game, you're already one up in the finals.
Interesting.
Am I crazy?
I mean, I don't know they would ever do that. It's not absolutely crazy. It's definitely outside of the box. Adam Silver likes to play it safe, so I don't know, but that's a pretty crazy idea.
Because think about historically what All-Stars have been. Most of them have been guys that are on contending teams.
Yeah.
Right. I know there's a lot of hate that LaMelo Ball didn't get it, but I'm sorry, when your team's only won 8 times, like,
Yeah. Tough.
it's tough.
Yeah.
But when you've got contending teams and you want to see competitive basketball, there has to be something to play for.
Yeah.
Otherwise,
Well, because the question to yours is, if LaMelo Ball does make it, he realizes his team doesn't stand a chance to be in the playoffs. Why does he care if his team wins? Because he's not really helping himself. He might be helping, he might be helping the Knicks players, or he might be helping the Boston Celtics players, but he's not helping himself. So, interesting take.
It needs to be something that's meaningful to the players, because just bragging rights isn't anything. Even just home court advantage, like, we learned with the Detroit Lions. It's like, what's the point in home field advantage when you actually play better on the road?
Right. So at Adam Silver, Dan Dameron's solution is make the stakes, make it back to East versus West, and the winner of the game, their conference gets one win into the finals.
Yep.
So it really becomes a 6-game series.
Yep.
All right. I like it. All right. Thanks, Dan. Yeah. 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 Well, let's get our video guy on here. Micah, jump on in here and let us know. We want to hear from you, man. Micah is a former state champion, a basketball player. He was a big player in high school. Had an opportunity to play some college ball, but decided it wasn't for him. And but he's a big fan of the NBA, particularly Steph Curry. And his favorite team right now is the Detroit Pistons, since we are Michiganders. And we watched the All-Star game together. And so, Micah, I would love to hear from you. How do we fix the NBA All-Star game?
It's a loaded question. It's been messed up for quite some time now. I like to say I think the All-Star game in general across multiple sports is an issue for most sports, except for we see the rising in hockey right now. But I think it's just in general the stars of the game are not looking forward to it as much as the fans are, and I think that's the biggest problem. But how to fix the NBA All-Star game? It's emotional, I know. How to fix the NBA All-Star game? That's a loaded question. But I think the biggest issue, first of all, is the players. I mean, you got guys like LeBron James who decides to sit out the day of the All-Star game due to an injury.
Hour and a half.
Yeah, due to an injury. That's what he says. I've heard other rumblings that it was because the rising stars were getting to play on the All-Star court, and he wasn't happy with that, even though his son, Bronny James, who shouldn't really be in the NBA players had to play against him. So it's a little biased there.
Good point.
And so you got guys like that who, if that's your face of the league, if that's the guy who's supposed to be the leader, and he's doing that and sitting out and not giving his full effort, what's to make the other guys want to do the same? So I think it starts with the players, and the pride that the players have is gone, and there's really no desire for them to show that they're the best or to prove.
Yeah, it used to be a showcase where
Yeah.
people felt like they had the opportunity to come showcase their talents on a world stage against the best of the best. It's not that anymore. So I get that you're saying it's the players. I agree, but how do we change? How do we get the players to have more buy-in?
Yeah. I personally like what's been brought up with the format of the World versus the USA. I think Casey was saying he might say something about that, but I think the World versus USA is a big topic right now. I don't think that's good for long-term sustainability, just because that topic right now is important.
I do think the international players is going to continue to grow.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, there was a time when it was like 2% international, and now it's almost 20% international. And like I said, I mean, you look at Jokic and Giannis and Luka and Shea and Joel, and I mean, these are all top 10 NBA players, and they're all international. So I mean, they would have Wemby.
Yeah.
Like, they would have a pretty good team.
Yeah, for sure. It would definitely be competitive, and I agree that it's going to grow as well. But I think that's a good format. We're obviously seeing the effects of that in the hockey All-Star game, and that's proven well for them. But it just gives them something to fight for, I mean, at the end of the day, even those that say they don't love their country that much, still at the end of the day have some pride in it, and so it gives them something to work for. I also think adding an idea of what the stake is in the game needs to be increased. I like the idea of having whichever team wins gets the home court advantage in the finals. That's always been a good thing, I think. And I also think including it as a regular season win or loss. So, whichever team, if you're on that team, if it's still East or West, I also think it needs to go back to East versus West. That if you were, a player on that team, that counts towards your team win or team loss. So just things that give it a bigger stake in the game than just coming and doing it for the fans. Because sadly, these players a lot of them don't care about their fans. They don't care about the league. Some of them are spoiled, overpaid brats a lot of times. And so it's sad that we even have to incentivize them the way that it is. The fact that they won't just play for their own, their own mental, gratification, or just doing it because they want to show that they're the best. It's pretty sad that, that trend follows throughout the generations, and we've seen how it's kind of trickled down. But yeah, it's sad that the players, have to even be incentivized. But, a couple of things like that might help the game out.
Okay. So I've heard everybody's thoughts. I've heard everybody's opinions. So Dan, so let me recap here. Dan's idea was that we go back to East versus West, and we make it to where the winner of the game gets one win in the NBA Finals for their conference. So if the West wins, the team that makes it to the finals for the West, they start 1-0.
Crazy.
Okay, that is a crazy idea. That's a crazy idea. It's outside the box. It's crazy. Casey's idea is to make it more like the NHL, where you have a USA versus the world roster of 12, and it's played here in the USA, or it could be played abroad, I guess. And the stakes are high because it's national pride. So that raises the stakes because we don't want to lose to the foreign team. We're Team USA. It raises the stakes. And the foreign team wants to beat Team USA. Always. Olympics, all those things. And you say that's kind of a trend, but that's been something since I was a kid too. I don't know that will ever go away. That will ever go away. You know, he incited Rocky IV there, which always stirs something up in me. Your idea is similar in that we go Team USA versus the world. But that the winner of the each person on the winning team gets a win for their respective team.
Yeah, or a loss, a win or a loss.
So if you're on the Lakers and you have an all-star, so what if you have two all-stars? You get 2 wins?
No, it's still one team.
Just
win.
one. So
that's why you want to have more all-stars on your team, because it's a better chance.
If you have an all-star represented
Mhm.
on Team USA and you win, then you get a win for the Lakers, and then you get a win for the Timberwolves or whatever. Now, let me ask this question, play devil's advocate. What if the Los Angeles Lakers have LeBron and Luka, who both play for the Lakers? Either way, they get a win. So what's their incentive?
What's their incentive of what? Playing hard?
To win. Like, they're going to get a win either way.
Yeah.
But they also get a loss.
Right.
So I guess in that situation, it doesn't matter because they cancel each other out.
Well, it has to be East versus West in this scenario. You can't have.
Oh, so
Luka
you're not
and-
Team USA versus Team World.
Yeah. So I mean, in the scenario where it's Team USA versus Team World, you probably wouldn't be able to do that. I was saying if it was back to East and West, that would.
So
be
if
the
it's
system.
East versus West, everybody on the West that has a team, an all-star represented, gets a win for their team, and everyone else on the East gets a loss.
Yes.
And sometimes one win or one loss can
It can impact the team. I just think.
So let me ask you this: does it go to now an 83 game season?
Yeah, it would be an 83.
So it's not
season.
you take one of their wins away or add to one of their losses. You add a game to the season.
No, I think it needs to stop being like an extra thing that they just get to do on the side for fun. Like, no, the All-Star game is a part of the season. It's something that you get paid to do. I mean, it's, they even get a bonus for playing in the All-Star game. So why not make it, an actual regular season game that counts for something other than just, for fun?
Well, here's my idea. Not bad. Here's my idea. If you're listening at Adam Silver, I'm all about fans first. I think when the fans have buy-in, then the game will be something special. I think you go to, if you're going to do the 4-team tournament, which I like, you do 4 8-team rosters, so 32 all-stars, and you allow the fans to vote for who the all-stars are, period. Regardless of what the coaches think, because the coaches aren't who we're trying to get to watch the game.
Yeah.
Now, I realize some players in small markets, like Cade Cunningham, might not win purely based on fan votes. But if we want mass appeal, we got to go fans first. So I think this. First and foremost, if I'm Adam Silver, I'm right now sending out some sort of a survey to the fans of the NBA saying, submit your ideas for how to fix the All-Star game. Show a little humility. Let the fans know you care about their opinions. And maybe you're going to get some brilliant idea like what I'm about to share with our audience here. So let the fans have a say, because it's a fan experience, right?
Yeah.
Like I mentioned earlier, the game Sunday night was 28 minutes of basketball, 45 minutes of talking from Shaq, Kenny, Chuck, and Kevin Hart. It was an hour of commercials. It was 15 minutes of Mr. Beast. Like, basketball was the least highlighted thing really there. So if it's just to make money, then keep doing it. You're going to sell sponsors. But if it's for the fans, Let the fans have say. So let them have a say. But then all 32 All-Stars get voted. All 32 All-Stars get voted. So every team. Oh, go ahead. You got a thought?
Yeah, that's my gripe. I mean, having 32 All-Stars, it doesn't make the All-Star, being an All-Star, seem all that special, because usually you have, 24?
Yeah.
And so
You're just adding another 8.
Yeah,
but think about out of that 24,
but like
how many guys don't even get to play? If they have a roster of 12, you always have 2 or 3 guys that maybe get in the game for 3 or 4 minutes.
sure.
So what I'm saying is it's 4 teams of 8.
I think it should be 4 teams of 6.
Okay. Well, 6 is tough if you get
Keep it at 24.
So 4 teams of. I'm suggesting 4 teams of 8.
Yeah,
okay. 4 teams of 8. There's plenty of talented players. We talked about 7 or 8 guys that felt like they got snubbed.
But
So it would be hard to find another 8 or 7 or
For
8
sure.
legit ballers that that have fan support. In other words, the fans like these guys.
Yeah.
Okay.
but think about the historical.
We're just gonna go back and forth before I even get to finish my idea. Go ahead.
Sorry, but think about like the historical impact that would have on the NBA. You talk about when a player ends their career, how many All-Stars they got, and you look at a historical,
It doesn't
fact
matter.
sheet, it's like, okay, he only became an All-Star because they needed 32 players.
But the All-Star game is not what it is today.
Yeah.
There was a time where there was no 3-point line.
Right.
And they did it because they wanted higher scoring games because the fans.
Yeah.
Right? There was a time where they weren't allowed to dunk, but they allowed it because the fans liked it.
Mhm.
Right? There was a time where they couldn't wear multicolored shoes,
Yeah.
but they realized the fans liked it. So they're going to have to adapt. And all of those things affect the record books in some way. Pistol Pete's scoring record in college was all 2s. And Caitlin Clark just broke it with a bunch of 3s. So is that fair? LeBron's scoring record, he had a lot more 3s than Jordan. So there's always going to be that. But if you want to adapt, we're in a streaming world. We're in a world where people have short attention spans. You got to give the fans what they want, because the NBA at the end of the day is an entertainment league. So my suggestion again, 32 All-Stars, 4 teams of 8. Do the same type of format where it's a 4-team tournament, except for the games need to be longer. I'd say up to 75.
Yeah.
The first 2 games maybe are up to 75, and then the final game is a full 12-minute quarters championship game. And then everyone on the winning team, instead of giving all the players $125,000, the 8 players on the winning team all get like $500,000, and the MVP gets $1 million.
Okay.
So there's some stakes.
Yeah.
So instead of spreading out $100,000 amongst 24 players, say the top 7 guys are getting $500,000 from the winning team. The winner gets $1 million. And I don't know that you let the All-Star affect the regular season or the playoffs personally, because it's not East versus West. So 4 teams, no rising stars. These are all All-Stars voted on by the fans. They play against each other up to 75. The winner of that game plays a full 12-minute quarter game. Winner take all. The losers get nothing. They get nothing.
Yeah.
They get a free plane ticket to Detroit in 2028 when the Pistons host the All-Star game. But that's it. So now the stakes are much higher, and now there's an incentive to win, and it's the best of the best. I do like the idea of dividing the teams by like OGs, maybe a world team, or maybe a team of guards and a team of big. Like, there's ways you could get creative with how to divide up the teams. I even like the idea of a draft. Maybe take the top 4 coaches in the NBA and let them draft, not the players draft, but all of those things can be worked. But that's my idea. So what do you think? What are your thoughts on this? How would you fix the NBA All-Star game? It is struggling. The ratings were not great. The 3-point shootout was not that great. The dunk contest, Mac McClung saved it, but I think people want to see John Morant. They want to see Anthony Edwards. They want to see Zach LaVine. They want to see All-Stars. They want to see Zion Williamson. They want to see players that they care about. So I think even for the dunk contest, it's voted on by the fans, right? So if you're in the dunk contest, you only get picked by the fans. If you're in the 3-point shootout, it's voted on by the fans. If you're in the skills challenge, it's voted on by the fans. All the positions are voted on by the fans. And then if you decide, I'm not doing the dunk contest, you're telling your fans, thanks for voting, but I'm not doing it. So it puts the pressure back on the players. It gives the fans more stake. So let us know what you think. I think this would fix it. Maybe you have a great idea. We're going to tag the NBA, tag Adam Silver, and try to get this out there. But I think these are some proposed solutions, and we'll see. So thanks for branding out with us. We appreciate you coming along. Remember, a brand that goes along with the norms, a brand that blends in, gets forgotten. So keep building, keep branding, go out there and stand out and brand out. Thanks for watching.
If you enjoyed this content, make sure to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you never miss an episode. We want to connect with you. Drop a comment, share your thoughts, and let us know what brands you want us to break down next. Follow us on social media for more branding insights, and remember, keep building, keep branding, and always brand out.